What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? So welcome to Friday's episode. This is when we talk about everything but cyber. So if you're tuning in from the money discussion about the Apple iOS, iPad iOS, Mac OS, and Safari vulnerability. And then Tuesday, we talked about the FBI and how they're investigating the isolated cybersecurity attack on one of their field offices. And then on Wednesday, we have a discussion about the world record breaking HTTP DDoS attack that Cloudflare blocked, and how DDoS attacks are on the rise. Ransomware is on the rise in general, and just how all of that stuff plays out in this world-breaking attack. That didn't break the world; it got stopped. So definitely tune in for all that. But this is everything but that. So we talk about everything else to kind of unpack and unwind for the week. So without further ado, Shannon, how was your week?
My week was good, man. Again, didn't take in a lot of media, a lot of games. Didn't do a lot of that. Yeah, it was a pretty slow week for me, man. After last week, I watched what was probably the latest at the time episode of Poker Face, which, yeah, man, I don't know. I can't say it's.
Is it past the play, or was it the play?
Was it the play? Yeah, it was.
That's
it
the
was
last one I saw. It was the play.
Wings of Pensacola or whatever it was.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, it just was not. Yeah, I don't know, man. It wasn't doing it for me.
Right.
So like I kind of didn't pay attention. I think a new one is out now, I think.
Okay.
But it hasn't kept my interest. Like the way it started out really good. And I was like, oh, this is great, right? But and the thing is, they have all these like, I don't know,
A-listers.
Yeah, A-listers. Like I don't know if it's Tarantino like doing this or what, man. But
right, because they got Ron Perlman popping up sooner. Like you see him in the previews.
Yeah. I think he's the big bad. Actually, you haven't seen him yet, but like the voice on the end, I was like, I know that voice. And then when I saw Ron Perlman, I was like, that's who that is.
Yeah, right? They tied the two together. But oh, that's got that's Hellboy.
Yeah. You better run, girl. But no, like it's not really keeping my interest like that. So it's just been, like I said, limited media. My wife and I have watched a couple of shows that have been out for a little while. We started watching this medical drama, New Amsterdam.
How's that? I've seen previews.
It's not bad. So like, here's the thing. I like the medical dramas, right? Like I liked House, you know what I mean?
Right.
Good Doctor I watched, you know what I mean? Which I didn't keep up with Good Doctor. Like he got to a point where it was just like, had so many irons in the fire. Like we couldn't keep up with all of them and it got dropped off. But no, I like it. It's the first season.
Mine was Grey's Anatomy. My wife put me onto it. So I watched like 7 seasons, but it just kept going.
I'd never watched Grey's Anatomy, but it's uber popular, right? Like this one was
it started out, like I was saying, I started out like it went a good almost decade strong, and then it just everybody, you got to kill off people, you know what I mean? Like people have to go do other things because they blow up, so then they actually have to blow them up on the show. I was like, it's getting to be too much.
They're like 15 seasons in or something like that, right?
Yeah, it just keeps going. I think they're gonna land that plane soon because she's doing. Because I don't know. Yeah, because she's already involved in so many other things.
Yeah, like she's not gonna be able to keep up with it. Like, and here's the thing: like 15 seasons in, she's probably not as hands-on as she was in the beginning anyway, right? Like she has people on, like she's still gonna get that creator credit, the producer credit, probably, right? I'm guessing, because I don't watch the show. So like she has other people that do that stuff for him. Like it's kind of like Kenya Barris, right? Like there was a point where he had so much going on. It's like there's no way you have your hands in all of that, you know what I mean?
You're not. I think she has her own production company now.
Grownish, Black AF. Like you're not doing all of these movies now. You know what I mean? So because
and I think she has her own production company. I think it's like Chandraland or something.
Chandraland,
yeah. So like she's like Bridgerton, all that other stuff. Like she's blowing up.
Yeah,
so like,
that's right. Netflix, and she got the Netflix deal too, right? So like she's got all that.
Because ABC did her wrong at some point. ABC did something to her, so that was kind of like that's why she moved over to Netflix.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Can't mess with the talent. The people bring you all the monies.
But why would they do that? Like it's not like if her show's been on the air for 15 years, like it's not like people aren't watching it. Like you didn't keep paying for it because people stopped watching.
It's because people get comfortable. Like, no, I'm still the talent. That's why Bridgerton came about. Like, okay, well, you want to mess with me in this regard? I'm gonna go make some over here. That blew up.
Yeah,
Because what
Bridgerton.
she had Grey's Anatomy, How to Get Away with Murder. What was the other one? It was the one with Kerry Washington in it.
Scandal.
That was her too. Scandal was hers too, right?
Maybe, I don't know.
I think
I
so.
watched it, yeah.
But
I just know she had a lot of stuff going on. But yeah, but like back to the original point though, like yeah, like all these A-listers, man. So it didn't do it for me. But yeah, New Amsterdam, started watching that. That was pretty cool. Just yesterday, we went out and ran some errands, but I was coming across something. I saw East New York. I started that series, the police series. I was like, oh, that's not bad. You know, I watched a couple episodes in that. But yeah, no, I've been very limited on what I've been watching. I watched a couple of old movies this week. So like I watched iRobot again. So like you guys will see that came up
gotcha.
in the discussion. It was fresh in my head, you know what I mean? I watched iRobot again because I was like, yep, this will be how it happens. That'll do it, you know.
That's how it's gonna take us out.
The NS5s will be upon us soon enough, you know what I mean? But I like that movie. Like I know there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I didn't like it. It wasn't like the book. Because in the book, apparently the robot is a partner, I think, or something like that, to the human detective.
That's most of that series, because that comes from Asimov, right?
Asimov,
so it was like, yeah, so that's because they also sent Bicentennial Man or something like that with Robin Williams. That was one of the stories from the book as well. Yeah, people kind of, is a love-hate for it. I never read it, but and there's another one that's based on, it's oh man, it's Apple TV. What's it called? It's like Foundry or something. Remember I talked about it? I was like, oh, this show's like okay.
I do remember you talking about that.
Yeah, I think it starts with the F, but it's another Asimov concept. It's like all this stuff is good. It's just like people don't like the adaptions. Some people don't like the adaptions.
But it's one of those things where if you read the book first, that's kind of what sticks in your head, right? If you read the book and you like the book, you got to stick to that material type thing, right? Like you can't change it up. You know what I mean?
Right. We talk about that. Yeah. Go say I Am Legend. Because I read it's a short story. I read the short story before I watched the movie. I still enjoyed it, but they're two separate things. They do not go hand in hand. But there's a sequel. You see the sequel? It was being announced.
For I Am Legend?
For I Am Legend. So they're going to, because the theatrical ending is different than the they have a alternate ending. If you bought the DVD or Blu-ray or whatever, which I did because I enjoyed it, they're going to go with the alternate ending because now it makes for a sequel and it's closer to the book.
How are they going to hire Will Smith at this point? Like he's smacking people on stage. Like I don't know how that.
Oh, he's back. He's already back. He's uncanceled.
Well, so the thing with Emancipation, that was already in the works when all that was done. Like he had already filmed that, I thought, right? So like that was one of those where we already got it in the can. Let's release it. Like I don't know.
He's uncanceled. I'm not even worried about what's yeah, he's uncanceled. he's already uncanceled. When is speaking of which, when does Chris Rock's live stand-up come out for Netflix?
I don't know. I heard about it. I haven't seen.
That's gonna be hilarious.
I don't know if he'll address it. Like it even took him a little while to address it.
He said he will address it though. Like he was like, yeah, that's the whole Netflix deal. He's going to address it in the stand-up. I don't know how much he's going to address it, but it's going to be in there.
I mean, it's one of those things where Chris Rock, like it's crazy. I just read an article from a publication that is a Black publication, to where they kind of alluded to the fact that he deserved it just based off his behavior over the years, like how he has talked down about certain groups and stuff like that. But I'm like, I don't think anybody deserves that.
Yeah,
I mean, that was
national TV.
That was their stance on it, right? And I was like, I don't agree with that. But it was an interesting read because and if you follow Chris Rock, there has been some times he's done some stuff where you're like, I don't know if you should do that.
He also had, because remember I brought up this instance of something I didn't like. It was him in a room full of comedians, and I didn't like he was allowing them to say something. It was him, Jerry Seinfeld, the comedian that got canceled. What's his name? He came back.
Louis C.K.
Yeah, Louis C.K. and Ricky Gervais. They're all on a show of some sort. And the only one who had sense in the entire situation was Jerry Seinfeld. He was like, I don't think we should be saying this. Like he wasn't saying it, but he was like, I don't think y'all should be saying this.
Well, he knows persecution as well, being Jewish, right? So it's one of those things where,
Right.
nah, I
But
know.
Chris Rock wasn't stopping him from saying it. But on top of it, like we learned a couple years back that Chris Rock has a what is it? What would it be called? Classified as? He's not on the spectrum, but he has a learning disability.
It's a form of he can't read cues on people's faces.
Right.
Like,
and now putting the two together, I'm just like, okay, I kind of get it now why he was not stopping them in that situation. So, and that kind of goes back to some of his comedy as well, and his relationship with his ex-wife and kids. Like it could be, if you don't know until you're like, what is he, like 50?
yeah, he's up there.
He's rich, so he don't look 50.
Yeah.
But like if you don't know till you're like 50, like that can definitely impact your relationships with people and just the way you interact with people. But I don't think the joke he gave deserved the
reaction
Will Smith gave him. Yeah, like that was just weird. And then you read Will Smith's book, and then you're like, oh, that makes sense from Will Smith's perspective because his upbringing, right? So it's a whole lot of social dynamics happening to these people, and it just plays out like looking crazy to us.
So let me ask you, so on live TV, exactly. So let me ask you something, right? So I know this is this is the light episode. I get it, right? We don't talk cyber, we don't do that. But like just to veer off real quick. So like, at what point is it that you can no longer blame it on the upbringing, though, right? Like at this point when this happened, Will Smith was over 50. Like he knows better. Yeah. His action knows better. Despite what he may have experienced in his youth, he has learned and educated himself to know that something is not right, right? Like I can't sit here and give Kanye a pass for being an anti-Semite, right? Because of mental illness. Like he's been an anti-Semite, but the mental illness removed the filter. You know what I'm saying? Like at what point do we hold these people accountable for these things and stop saying, well, it's because
so I think we should still hold them accountable, but I think it's so I'm biased in that my undergrad is social psychology, right? So like I believe environmental like has a lot on your socioeconomic status, your nature versus nurture, all that stuff has a huge impact on your character and who you're going to be. So I could just be overly into it and those dynamics, but I think you should always be held accountable. But I think in the moment, like if it's quick reaction Twitch, a lot of that's going to be built upon your previous experience, your rearing and things of that nature.
He wasn't
like
standing 2
if
feet
you
away
plan
from
out the crime, right? Yeah. Like if he hadn't gotten up, like which he shouldn't have. I'm not trying to give him a pass. He shouldn't have gotten up. He should have had the mental filter of like, I'm not going to get up and smack this man. However, it wasn't he didn't say the joke, they go to commercial and they come back and then he slapped him. It was like he said the joke, he got up and he went up and slapped him. That's more of your makeup than your than logical processes.
But he had 30 feet to think about it, at least 30 feet to think about that.
I think he was
got
committed.
Up and walked. You know, hey, I hear you. He damn sure was committed.
I'm up here. Yeah. I'm up here.
It's got to happen now, right? But like, no, right. and I don't want to get too heavy into that. Like, these are the conversations we usually have offline. You know what I mean? Don't. But
so I do hold Will Smith accountable for it. Like I'm not saying I'm uncanceling him. Like I never canceled him to begin with. He hasn't done enough crazy stuff for me to be like, oh, this dude's off the rails. Like a Kanye. I've done Kanye years ago after 808 Heartbreaks. he fell off a cliff because in his case he is a billionaire who's not being treated right. Like so he has more than enough funds to continue going down the route he's going, and there's no one who can stop him after his mom passed away because there's no one going to be in his ear to tell him to not spend money on them. So he's going to continue. Like even Adidas is coming back to the table. I don't know if you heard about that.
Are you serious?
Because they have too much inventory. They're going to lose way too much money. So they have to come back and partner with him again. That's what it's going to look like. And he might even get a bigger cut out of the deal. That's where money speaks over anything else, right? Like he needs help. I feel bad for Kanye and his mental stability, but at the same time, he's not going to get the help as long as he has money to continue to go down the path he's going. Because no one's going to tell him no. Like now it's looking like Adidas is not even going to tell him no, because Adidas can't afford to take that L.
So here's what gets me about that. So I read, it was not too long after the whole incident went down with the anti-Semitism, but that Adidas was just going to rebrand what they had. So they had the ability to just rebrand.
And nobody wants them because like people care about the name.
So that's what gets me. So that you went exactly where I was going to go. So are you telling me the shoes are ugly now because they're just Adidas? They weren't ugly.
Exactly. But again, that comes down to social dynamics. People are unique. We're unique creatures.
You're right.
Like we don't want the shoe was ugly before it had his name on it. Right? The Yeezys are ugly. They're ugly sneakers. I don't own a pair. I've never owned a pair, never will. The things is ugly. However, with his name on the shoe now resells for buku bucks. People want a piece of that. People want to feel special. They want either the brand or the name or the association. That is a human thing that they cannot explain. It just is what it is. It's a part of the human element. And without him on it, they become doo-doo. They become paperweights without his name attached to it.
Which means they always were, though. That's the thing. That's what gets me, right? Like they were always terrible looking. Like the fashion was always, and I'm not a fashionista or a fashionista. I don't know what you would say about a male fashionista. I don't know what the terminology is, but a fashionista, I don't know. But
fashionist.
Fashionist. Yeah, like I know the A makes it feminine, right? Like I don't know. But no, like that's what gets me about that is that it was ugly before, it's ugly now. Like I feel the same way about art, right? Like if it is a Rembrandt, if it is a Picasso, like all of a sudden people are like, oh, it's worth so much. Like,
but it could just be a line. It could just be a line on a piece of paper.
Yeah, but that's what
and they're like, that's worth $10,000.
Yeah. Like there was a documentary. I never watched it, but I saw the preview for it. There was like this 3-year-old that was doing painting. And like this family was like, oh, this is like Picasso or one of these famous painters that goes for like millions of dollars. And then they would go to like art critics, and because they knew it was done by a 3-year-old, they're like, this is terrible. Like this is awful. You know what I mean? And it's like, where is the difference? It does look like that painting that people are paying tens of millions of dollars for. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't get it. But no, I mean, it's amazing to me. It is amazing to me. I mean, sometimes I'm a brand junkie on stuff too, right? Like there's sometimes I'm like, I'm
an Apple guy.
Yeah. So
I get that. But at the end of the day, because like to go full circle, he's not going to get better until he gets broker or until he gets better people. But I don't think he's gonna get better people because he is so not broke. He's the opposite of broke. So he can just pay for people to say and feel the way he wants them to feel. So he won't become more healthy anytime soon until he hits some sort of bottom. The bottom is not financial. So it is what it is.
Yeah, you're right, man.
But that's why I say like I think a lot of that stuff is because of your circumstances, either previous or present or what have you, have a huge influence on your mental state. Like what is normal, right? Because he thinks he's very normal. Like
he thinks he's the only sane one.
Prophetic, right?
Yeah, he thinks he's the only sane one in the world. That's what's crazy about it. It's like I don't know. I mean, I guess that can happen at some point, but this ain't it.
And in the moment, Will Smith thought he was protecting his wife, his mom, his everything. Because I listened to the audiobook of his story, but he grew up in a very abusive household. So in the story, he both admires his father because his father was like super smart, Air Force veteran, a hustler in every regard, like starting businesses and things of that nature. But he was hyper abusive. So like you have the duality in his mind as he goes through the book is crazy. Like it starts off with him and his brother, like they're building a wall. Like that's that type of regimen and discipline his father put into them. They're literally building a wall. It took them forever to build this wall. But it was akin to child abuse. But it's like that's his mentality. Like brick by brick. Like it's crazy how this story interweaves to like his real life, and then it ends with him. Not ends because Will Smith still has like 20, 30 years of acting left in him, but it ends with the slap, right? You're just like, well, why did he do that? Like, what were the circumstances involved? But this is very heavy.
You should title this episode "The Other Side of the Psychological Firewall" or something. I don't know. Yeah,
right.
I didn't mean to veer us off this way. I know. I
Right.
prefaced it before I said it, but yeah.
But hopefully he gets right again. People start to love him again. I want to see I'm Legend 2. So hopefully, because it's gonna be him and Michael B. Jordan. So I'm pretty
Really?
excited for that. Yep.
So I'm curious how they're going to get away from the theatrical release ending, though, right? Like, are they going to, like, if they say it's a dream, like it's already you're going to have I'm going to be down on that already. But like, oh, he dreamt how it ended, and then they show
Or
the.
they could just open it with the alternate ending, and maybe it go back and just show you the end of the movie,
like it never happened, huh?
Yeah, and then continue from there. Maybe that's a good way to bridge people's minds or what have you. I preferred it anyway because it was closer to the book, but still not the book. Like the book is totally separate property. Like they're not even the same character. Like in the book, the character was not. What is he was like the Surgeon General or something like that. Like he was like high up there.
He was a lieutenant colonel in the army, I think, is what he was.
Yeah, but didn't he work with the Surgeon General or something like that?
He was a medical guy though. Yeah.
Like in the book, he's just a common guy. Like he doesn't know why everybody's impacted the way they're impacted, but he's trying to do the best he can by going to the library to figure it out. But in the book, they can also speak. So they were like more like vampires than the creatures that were in the movie. They like communicate. Yeah. And then he was like killing them during the daytime, but they would hunt him at night. So it was like different.
I mean, he kind of figured they had some intelligence though in the movie, right? Because remember, the guy didn't just walk out into the sunlight, and it kind of shocked him. Like, yeah, he's not as mindless as I thought he was,
right?
Or they're not as mindless as I thought they were, type thing. Because the guy got burned and then stepped back and just kept watching them. So, I think if I remember it correctly, it's been a while.
Yeah, no, you're correct. Yeah,
but so yeah, he figured there was some intelligence there, but. No, I kind of like the alternate ending too, man. Like I don't have anything against the regular one, right? Or, there would be no reason for an I Am Legend 2 to continue with him. But yeah, right. I'm curious as to how they're going to rewrite that, man.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm super interested in it. So he's not canceled. He'll be right back. There's another Bad Boys being made. Like he's like, I just can't go to the award show for another decade. But then he'll probably
that's not a real punishment.
They'll line up a bunch of really good, like 9 years from now, they're gonna line up a bunch of really good Will Smith movies. So that way he comes back and he wins at the first award show he's allowed back to. Like it writes itself.
Yeah, I don't think that's a real punishment for him to not go to an award show, right? Like now you don't have to say who are you wearing, right? Like you don't have to go through all of that mess and whatnot. And it's just like, yeah, he's like, oh, thank you. Like I was kind of obligated to because I'm always in a movie, you know what I mean? So yeah. Just pretend you're sad that you got banned, right? For 10 years
or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 10 years, I think, right? I think that's what it was.
Yeah, 10 years. They gave him 10 years. Yeah. Like he's not that old. I think what is he? Is he in his 50s? Again, rich person.
He's like 50, he's like 54, 55.
So he'd be all right. He'd be like almost 70. He'll be cool.
Yeah.
Back in the show.
But that's it. So to go back to the beginning. that's all I watched, man. Started East New York. And that looks promising. So I'll get a little bit of that in. But what about you, man?
So no movies. I didn't go see Ant-Man, not yet. Reviews are all over the place. Like even from people I know, like Vaughn was like, wasn't that great? I'm like, oh no. So I'm not in a rush to go see it. I will see it before it leaves theaters, but I'm not gonna break my neck to get there. So I didn't watch any movies. I did start the Mandalorian. So I'm on episode 3. I think they call it chapter 3, The Sin. So I'm on that one. It was good off the bat. It was good off the rip. Again, I think I like Star Wars without lightsabers. I like the Rogue One. I like the Andor. And I like the Mandalorian. Like I like all that other stuff. I'm gonna watch the Bad Batch. I saw a trailer for that. I'm like, oh, it actually looks pretty good. I'm gonna check that one out. Like I'm stalling before I get to the last 3 in the series and be done with it, right? But I like all the the non-Jedi stuff in Star Wars. I know somebody screaming at their dashboard right now as they listen to this on their commute. If they weren't screaming, we were talking about Kanye, Will Smith, and Chris Rock. But yeah, so I'm watching that. It's pretty good so far. Pedro Pascal, man, he doesn't miss, especially with adopted kids. He's like, that's becoming his niche. I think so. Hear me out. Here's my pitch for God of War, starring Pedro Pascal as Kratos.
No.
He could pull it off. He's got the CG, the muscles on him.
So the guy that plays the voice, I don't know if you've ever seen him in person. He is a large individual. Like,
yeah, he was on Stargate.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I never watched Stargate, but yeah,
he was on Stargate. I'm sure he's done a lot. He's a renowned actor, but I only know him from Stargate and now the new God of War.
I don't know. Like if it's gonna be live action, I mean, they're gonna find somebody. It may not even be the guy that does the voice, right? Because like you would have to do like full body makeup because he's a black guy, right? So you'd have to do body makeup to make him look like Ash. You know what I mean? Like
right.
I don't know. I mean, they got you put it in the budget, right? But
you got old boy who did Reacher. He's a big dude.
That's true. Is he gonna shave his head? Like,
I mean, the money's right. You got that Sony money.
Yeah, and I mean, you got other people out there. So the guy that I've never heard the voice on him, but I don't know if you ever seen what's the beginning of the Alien series with the ones that it's the extraterrestrials that
you mean just Alien?
No. The prequel, Prometheus?
Oh, Prometheus.
Prometheus, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So like
the dude played the engineer?
So no.
Humongous human being.
To play the engineer. There's an actual person that plays like the big buff alien like type thing that like disintegrates into the earth and starts humankind.
Yeah. I thought they were called the engineers.
Oh, is that okay? I thought
that's what they called the race. They called them the engineers because they make life on other planets.
Yeah. So there's a person that plays that. So that'd be.
Oh, okay. No, I thought that was CG. I didn't know he was that big. That's a humongous human being.
Yeah. So
okay, that would work.
But I don't know. I don't know where they would go for that. I think there would be a lot of interest in it, right? Like, but you could
they because it's completely messed up. I need a Vin Diesel as Kratos.
Nah. I don't need them talking about family all day.
Family. It's all about family. You nailed it. Got it.
No.
He's already bald. Just
let him
make him gray, the red line.
At that point, I'd need The Rock. If you're gonna do it, make it Dwayne Johnson. You know what I mean?
You could.
He's got
Jason Momoa.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you do about the voice because the voice is deep and gravelly, right? Like, so
you have to shave his head too. That'd be crazy.
Well, The Rock is already there. That's what I'm saying, right? But Jason Momoa, didn't he cut his hair recently anyway? He cut it down some, or was that a trick thing?
I
thought I saw a headline. It was probably a few months back now, though, where he cut his hair. I was like, oh. But it's one of those things where they've done that before. It was Anthony Davis, the basketball player. They did a thing like he always has a unibrow, like it's his trademark now. It's like Michael Strahan with the Gap, like he has a unibrow and he keeps it. And apparently he went on Facebook or Twitter or something like that and pretended like he shaved it, but it was fake. So same thing with Jason Momoa. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I'd love to see it. Like I love the series, you know what I mean? But you can't mess it up. and after seeing Halo, like they messed up that series, it seems like I just didn't like it.
Sony's been doing a good job though. Like they messed up. I believe they messed up Halo. Like so somebody might disagree, but I don't know. Like I was happy that they were going off the rails because I have 20 years of Halo history and knowledge. Like let's do something different. But then they just went too far. Like it was like the train from Snowpiercer just tumbled over and just gone. Just flew off the rails.
I don't know what Snowpiercer is, but I guess it's a train.
It was so it was a book that became a movie that became a TV show. I think the TV show was just canceled because of the whole just they canceling shows just to cancel them. But it was it's the last bastion of humanity. It's a train that goes around the world. Like, but each compartment has different class of people. So like the head department is obviously the affluent, and then you work your way back to the steerage. You never seen it?
How are they going across oceans? On rails?
They built rack. Yeah, they built rails.
Really?
Plus everything's frozen. Like, cause it's like,
Oh,
yeah, everything's frozen.
sounds post-apocalyptic, right?
It
Like,
is. It is. You know, it's my
yeah,
jam.
I know.
It's my jam. But where was I going with that? So I think they can do a good job because Sony seems to be doing a good job. Like they have Uncharted, even though some people didn't like the movie, I thought it was actually really good. It really I think they nailed the characters pretty well. Um, Obviously, The Last of Us is killing it right now. Like it's rivaling the new. That's how you feel about it, but the rest of the world, Craig. Um,
How
they
Sway? See, I'm Kanye in this instance, right? Like I feel like I'm the only same person that's like, this is not a good series. Like, no, go ahead.
it's rivaling the new House of the Dragon. Like it's starting to beat those numbers, which were really high. And then there was something else. I forget. They're going to adapt some. Oh yeah, I think they're talking about adapting Horizon. So I think that would be really good as well.
That I would like to see. The video game you're talking about, right? Like Zero
Yeah.
Dawn. That I would like to see. I put in over 100 hours, so I would definitely like to see that.
Yeah, so they're doing a really good job with their IP. Microsoft is trying to emulate that, but Halo just wasn't it. Unless I don't know what they're going to do season 2 if it even happens. But the budget was right, the story was not. Like you do something different, but it just got weird at the end. It's just like I don't know where you go to season 2 from here, right? Because they took off the Master Chief's helmet like off the rip, which I was fine with. People hated it, but then at the end of it, they had to put it back on for reasons. Like you pay the actor a lot of money, now he's not going to potentially speak or see his face. How does that work? I don't know. But
that dude was a pretty big guy too, though. He could be Kratos. He was kind of
he
tall.
was, yeah. They showed him side by side with other people. I was like, yeah, this is a humongous man. So that would also work for Kratos, yeah. Because there's I was playing through the second game. There's a funny part where Atreus asks him, like, am I going to get as big as you? And what's my man, the head? Mimir is like, you'll get the power because you're a god, but you'll get the physique only if you work out. I was like, okay, that makes sense. I was like, okay. Like they made it make video game logic sense. So we'll see.
Did you ever go back? So let me ask
I
you
did,
this.
and I'm not enjoying it as much as I thought I would when I went back. There's a battle. There was a few battles where I just rocked them. I was just like, I'm overpowered. This feels great. There's one I played at least 70, 80, 100 times. It's 3 characters. Like, so you're fighting like, I think they call them berserkers or whatever, but you put the key in the tombstone or the headstone, and you're fighting the main boss, and then there's these 2 sisters that have opposing powers. One is fire, one is ice. And I cannot win this fight. I cannot get past the first health bar on the main character. No matter what I do, like I'm getting like the elemental things, they keep interfering because there's 3 of them. They're doing what they're doing what you want them to always do in movies, where it's like, why don't you just jump him?
So here's what you have to remember, though. So you have Atreus or Freya, whichever one.
I got Freya.
So they have powers as well, right? So like start using their specials. You know what I mean? Like if you press, I think it's square is the one that brings up whatever they do, whether it be the fire, eyes, wolf, or whatever. Like start utilizing that, and then don't forget that you have them as well. So like there is. So the one I'm trying to remember, the one that you're talking about, to where it was 2 witches. I know there's some where you have 2 berserkers, and that could be a beast, right? But
yeah, it's one berserker, and then like 2 mini boss berserkers, because one is fire, one is ice.
Yeah.
But then the main one, I believe, like the spear is the best thing to use against her. She has 2 hatchets, and her combo, she mixes it up. So like, and if you block
dodging.
late,
Keep dodging.
she rocks you.
Just keep dodging. So like when it comes to the block, like it doesn't parry. Like even if you do parry, like they're gonna keep coming, right?
Yeah.
Like it just keeps doing it. So you just have to dodge. And like with that one, I think you have to do it like 4 or 5 times or something.
Yeah.
But then they'll sit there for a second, right? So then that's when you do your specials, right? That's when you start bang, bang, you know what I mean? You just start getting at it when they sit there for a second, right? And then like doing different things. And don't forget that you have some as well, right? Like so depending on what you have, like you could use like the Bifrost one, that puts the Bifrost And then when you hit them, it takes more damage. Like there's all types of different ones that you may not have accumulated, right? Because you mainlined it.
I mainlined it,
So
yeah.
you
So
probably don't have.
I might be lacking,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Like, so I switched from that to Hades, because remember, I've been playing Hades for years. I just suck at that game. It's a roguelike. It's meant for you to fail, but then you get better as you progress. I finally watched a video on some tips, and then it started to click, excuse me, how the systems kind of work with one another. Excuse me, I have to clear my throat. So now that I have a better foundation, I'm playing way better. Still not getting further yet, but I'm having more fun with the systems. So I'm like, okay, I'm kind of getting it. So I've been hooked on that for the past couple of days. Hopefully I'll beat it because there is a sequel coming out, I think this year, at the end of this year. So I kind of want to finally beat it. I've never beat a roguelike before. I usually quit them early on. Like your Dead Cells, your roguelite, and then I played another one. But they're meant to frustrate you, but you get better and then you become, like you master the systems. I just never stick around long enough, but I'm really interested in this one.
Okay. No, I mean I got a coworker that said that Hades was pretty good. He was like, "Oh, Hades is good," and I was like, "Yeah, I got a friend that says the same thing." I was like,
Yeah,
"I just don't like the premise of it, right? Like to keep dying to get better."
yeah.
I'm like, I'm trying to get through this. I'm playing to win. You know what I mean? I'm not playing to die.
And each playthrough is different, right? Because like it's procedurally generated, so the rooms move around. You have to kind of have a strategy, but then your strategy might not work out for what you're offered because they call them boons. The gods give you powers, but they don't necessarily give you they're not going to give you the same one, but you can kind of influence it on there's some permanent systems in there as well. Like uh as you win favor with certain gods, and they're more likely to give you a boon. So it's cool now that I understand it, because before it was just random. I was just getting frustrated.
I I just don't. I don't like the premise of it, man. Like it's not for me.
You
Uh,
but you usually dead on. Like you don't like something, you're not gonna like it.
yeah,
So
for sure.
not definitely not for you.
I know me after 40 plus years. I know me. You know what I mean? So
Gotcha. It makes sense. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I'm hoping to watch Wakanda Forever one of these nights, not as at home streaming, so I can, because I only watched the one time in theater, so I want to see it again. Um, and just relaxing, playing some Hades, hanging out with the kids, things of that nature. Like we're going to fair today, so that'd be fun.
that's what's up, man. You'll get that good. You'll get that good weather down there, man. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
Out here in Colorado, that like fairs in February ain't a thing.
I think it's supposed to be 80 today, so that's like
Oh,
nice. Like we're right here before it starts to creep into the 90s and the hundreds for the next forever, and then you're begging for the cold. And then when it's finally cold, you're like, I don't like this. I ain't come here for this.
yeah, it can get unbearable in Florida in the summer. And when I was in Florida, I wasn't where you were. Like I was in the Panhandle, right? So it was a little cooler. You know, it's a little farther north. But
Yeah,
yeah, where you're at, nah, man, like it gets you.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, just relaxing, waiting to start the post military life. Yes, sir.
I think you'll like it.
Yeah,
And here's the thing, you'll miss some people, right? But there will be and you'll keep up with, like, the people you'll miss, you'll keep up with. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like it's one of those things where the military did right by me, but there are some things I was just like, man, I did not like that, right? As with anything.
right,
And I do not miss that. You know what I'm saying? So, but
right. I don't know what I'm gonna do with all this. I don't have additional duties. What?
yeah,
What? There's no additional duties out here?
yeah,
Yeah,
nope, not a thing.
that's the part I'm liking right now. So we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. But yeah, I think it's a good episode, a great week. Definitely tune in for the previous episode. So to go back to the cybersecurity stuff. Promise not to be as deep moving forward on the rabbit hole.
I
So hopefully you
apologize.
made it
I
through to the
apologize.
end.
I took us off the rails there for a second. I'm sorry.
But I think we're fine. I think we're fine. But no, leave us some feedback if you like it or you don't like it. We'll move on from there. But continue to hit us up in the comments. Give us your feedback, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And then hit us up All of our material goes by our name, the podcast name. You can hit me up personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. You can find me on LinkedIn, Clubhouse, and Twitter. Stay safe, stay secure.